All right, so today we're going to be jumping back into the Bitcoin price action because we are seeing some interesting stuff on the charts here, but also some things in other charts such as the Russell and S&P that show us not to worry and that we are actually in fact probably going to have expansion into risk on assets, and we still have potentially the biggest part of the bull run still ahead of us, at least for your altcoin market. But before we do get into the charts and my thoughts on them, we talked about this in my last video, how I'm going to be launching a premium Discord. That is now live. You can go in the description of this video right now and find links to all of that. I'm pricing it at just $20 a month for the first 3 months while I'm still working on it and getting it up to standards I would want to pay more for, but you will need to use a code to get that $20, that 50% off. The code is early on the screen right now, as well as in the description down below. So make sure you enter that before signing up if you are thinking about joining the member section of the Discord, where I'm going to be giving you guys as much of my time as possible to help you out with leverage trading if that is something you do. If it's not, I don't recommend you get into it, by the way. It is deceivingly hard to do and you can lose a lot of money doing it. I also don't proclaim to be an expert or anything like that. I'm just a guy that's made a lot of money in crypto and's been doing it for a very long time. And as part of this course, I am going to be running a 24-hour live stream of my paid charting software, ExoCharts and Trading Light. And what I thought I would do, if you don't want to pay $20 to $40 a month, I'm going to be turning on the member section of just the YouTube channel, and you'll get access to that 24-hour live stream to see what I'm doing on the charts in real time throughout the day. So if you're interested at all in any of that, you should see the join button next to the subscribe button. Shortly after I upload this video, I will be implementing that. So that would be just $5 a month if you want to get access to that premium live stream. You'll also get access to that live stream if you just sign up for the Crypto Eagles. And I will be doing a separate video tomorrow covering everything there is to know about that premium Discord, so it can be separate from my TA videos. And then also in yesterday's video, I talked about what a lot of the content is going to look like. So make sure to go watch the first half of that video if you want to learn more. Also, to learn everything about what's going to be in it, just click the links down below. It'll bring you to a page that shows you everything included in the package before you sign up. So definitely go ahead, check that out if you do leverage trade, and decide for yourself if you think it's going to be worth it or not. So yes, the links to the premium Discord are now down below. Make sure to go click on that if you do leverage trade. Just read through it, decide for yourself if you think it's worth it or not. And don't forget, you can get 50% off for the first 3 months using code EARLY. Alright, now let's go ahead, jump into the charts, jump into this TA. Sorry for everyone that does not care about a premium Discord for leverage trading. It's just that I launched it today, so I gotta let everyone know, of course, because I did have some people asking for me to actually make this sort of content in my free Discord, which, make sure to go join that as well. But let's go ahead and jump into Bitcoin here because we are respecting my levels pretty pixel perfectly. You can see here we have swept the highs on 4-hour closes. On the hourly time frame, you can see what that sweep level was representing. All of the highs throughout this range have now been cleaned out to the upside on that swing failure pattern. Would have been a good short opportunity up here at the highs. I would have actually entered that, but it was getting late, kind of outside my trading hours. I don't like to take trades right before I fall asleep because my protocol is to always get stop at entry, and if I can't wait for a price to come down for me to get that stop at entry before I fall asleep, probably not going to want to take that trade. But I'm glad to report if I was in that short, I would already be taking profit because I believe this was just to kind of take out late longers, and what I'm seeing in some other charts are showing me that we are probably going to continue to squeeze on up here after potentially just holding this point of control of the range, this volume level marked out by that dash, the line I have in the charts, or potentially just coming down one more time, tapping this, sweeping these lows. Very hard to predict exactly where Bitcoin's going to settle in the middle of this range, and that's why, when you're taking longs or shorts, that's why you do them outside of your range, on these big deviations. You don't want to be entering stuff right in the middle here. Very hard to time that, but we can assume if this is going to be a bullish pullback, we should not lose the golden pocket. So we can watch these fibs here. I guess you could also take it from your lowest low down here, and your golden pocket does align right within these volume levels and previous sweep levels on the chart. So this entire box right here is a big area of support I would expect Bitcoin to bounce out of, and for us to finally get the back test of the highs here. But just based on the Bitcoin chart, we have zero bullish confirmation. All this was a retrace back up to grab liquidity as of now. Looking over here on Trading Light, if you've been watching my videos, you have known I was saying, even in the most bearish of scenarios where Bitcoin does lose structure and we enter the bear market, that a sweep of this liquidity up into the single prints was the most probable thing to happen. Yes, we left a lot of single prints. There are those inefficiencies still up there that we could go ahead and grab. And once again, I do fully expect us to do so. What I'm seeing in the dollar, S&P, NASDAQ, Russell, it all tells me higher is the move right now. But once again, just based off of the Bitcoin chart, we need to be cautious because we did clean out all of these poor highs, and there's always the chance that we could still just roll over. What I like to see though is that we are back at the point of control of this whole visible range within here, holding that very nicely. You can see we're still holding this VWAP that is coming up here, and we do have large buyers scooping up our prices right now on a bit of a failed auction. So there's always the chance price just finds the low right where we are right now. And since we're looking at order flow and footprint charts here, let's talk about why this high up here was actually pretty bearish and you could have had confluence to short it. Well, first off, this candle right here, the 30-minute candle, when we came up to this level, it was a short squeeze. You see open interest dropping here on Binance as well as Bybit, and then we see Bybit opening up short positions at the highs, which they are pretty good at doing. This is Bybit USDT though. Bybit USD on the other hand, looking over here at EXO charts, are not that smart, and they are more of the retail positions, and we see them longing the highs over here on price actions. So that's something to take note of. Binance, Bybit, they're closing out of their short positions, but then having traders re-entering shorts up here at the highs, whereas Bybit USD is just kind of waiting until we get up to these highs, and you can see open interest start to climb right up here at the highs, showing that they are top longing and likely to get trapped. So essentially we can say if Bitcoin USD is retail, which I've backtested it quite a bit, they don't seem to be right in the market at all. We don't want them longing the bottom. We can see here we came down to this low a couple hours ago. They started buying up this low, open interest coming up, CVD coming up. They were opening longs within here. Price has come back down. CVD has fully reset, but open interest has not fully reset. That tells me that there's actually more shorts than longs being opened right now. So they're potentially shorting the lows. I'm guessing, yep, we have another failed auction over here on this pair as well. So this is actually pretty bullish price action here in the short term. As I've said, order flow changes on a dime, but so far so good. I like that this pair is closing out of longs and opening up into shorts at the lows now after doing the opposite at the highs. And then also just based on our walls over here on Binance, you can see there was a lot of sell walls up here around where the single prints were. You can see these sitting within the single prints right on top of them, expecting to get a full sweep through. But after already pulling back here, these walls have decided it is no longer valid to enter the trade up here at the single prints, because they're expecting if we can sweep this, it is actually bullish. That would be a higher high after already grabbing liquidity. So our sell walls have now moved out of the order books, and we see buy walls stepping in, as I was talking about earlier. A lot of buys scooping up price where it currently is on the charts, and I would not be surprised for the low to already be in on the local time frame and for us to just go for it and start flying on up to the 64,500 level, which is the much bigger level I'm going to be looking at. Could potentially roll over after backtesting this level, so we'll be watching for that on the channel here. But if we can get through this and backtest it into support, then you're definitely looking at all-time highs at that point. So yeah, so far so good on the Bitcoin price chart. I would not be surprised at all if this is your low, just holding that volume level after trapping some of your late longers and now starting to trap some of these shorts that are getting in late as well. So let's see if we can go ahead and actually reclaim these volume levels. Once we can reclaim this, I would say this low is confirmed, at least for a retracement up to the 64.5, and this certainly is our next target. That's where I expect to get to, assuming we can get above the 59k level, which I do fully expect to happen because of what we're seeing in our other charts. So let's go ahead, jump in here to the S&P, and oh my goodness, this thing is now a flying knife to the upside. We have certainly entered the final angle of attack in a macro parabola we have been in since all the way back in 1964. This chart looks similar to what we saw before the Great Depression. So after this parabola does finish off, I do think there are some very scary times ahead for the US and the world in general, because a lot of the world relies on the US economy, the US dollar. This is something very scary, but at the same time very exciting, because if this is going to be a massive bubble where we are entering a massive blow off top, you would expect speculative assets to run at the highs, which is exactly what we are starting to see. Looking over here at the Russell, we have in fact broken out of this range that we have been stuck in for quite some time here, now creating structure to launch us all the way up to the value area high of the macro range that we have been in since the beginning of this year. And in my opinion, this is what has been suppressing Bitcoin and your altcoin market, is that the Russell, your lower cap stocks in the stock market have been just consolidating, but what they have been consolidating in looks very similar to Wyckoff accumulation. And I do fully expect now, with this confirmation of a break out of the local range, we should be able to see a break out of this value area high, back test the macro range, and continue on up into the all-time high range. And once we're up into here is where you're going to get your altcoin season, is where you're going to have potential for Bitcoin to go to 6 figures, and life-changing wealth can certainly be made in a lot of your good assets. But as I've been saying, this bull run's not going to be quite the same as 2021. I think there's just a lot of altcoins out there, and if you're not in the right projects, then you might not see any gains while the whole market is running. So make sure to definitely do your own research there. I know my bags have been performing very well. Somehow my portfolio is at an all-time high, even with this pullback here on Bitcoin. So that is the importance of picking very good projects. But yeah, the Russell breaking out to the upside is something I love to see. Now we have really clear skies ahead of us up until we get to this higher volume level, and because we've already tested this level so many times during this consolidation range, I do expect another tap up here is probably going to go ahead and break, backtest this support, and this is where we're going to see risk on resume. We're going to see the speculative assets run at potentially the all-time high of all time for the S&P when this thing completes its blow off top for the parabola it's been in since 1964. Also, something great to see here on the charts is that the dollar is continuing to fall after respecting this horizontal line that I put in the charts a couple of videos ago, and we are now looking at potentially breaking down from this massive wedge we have been in since the beginning of 2023. And during this uptrend of the wedge is when Bitcoin has been underperforming. This is the reason Bitcoin has just been trading sideways this entire time, because money has been flowing into the dollar. But with the Russell coming up, with the S&P skyrocketing, I would not be surprised at all if money is to flow back out of the dollar and we are to see this thing hunt down to at least the value area high here, potentially all the way down to the value area low or lower, once again signaling just more continuation up higher in your risk on assets. Speaking of that continuation in risk on assets, we have seen the dominance on Bitcoin continue to fall, showing strength in the altcoin market, looking very bearish here on the daily time frame. This is what we want to see. Let's see if we can hunt all the way back down to this 40% level, which is where we historically go in every bull run. This is where your altcoin season is going to happen. And something to note is when we hunt down here, it happens very quick. You can see here in the past, when we've had our altcoin seasons, it falls a lot faster than it comes up. So certainly don't need to have a ton of time. My thesis has been a left translated cycle that we are going to top out before the end of this year. And I do think it's fully possible for the Bitcoin dominance to reset before then. Could also just come down kind of range highs here. There is some other possibilities that could still be very bullish for your altcoins. So yeah, fully expect some euphoric times ahead of us, but certainly still need to stay vigilant because those euphoric times historically don't last too long. I still don't think this bull run's lasting into 2025, especially with what the S&P is doing right now. Those parabolas are not going to last forever. But yeah, we're seeing a lot of good things on the charts here. We just need Bitcoin to confirm the bullish structure, get out of this range, backtest value area high, and have a continuation up higher, confirming this was in fact your low and potentially sending us to all-time highs with the altcoin season. But with that being said, if you do have any questions about anything I talked about or just want to join the community for this channel, link to my Discord is in the description down below. That's the free Discord, by the way. And also down there, you will find links to a BingX event that I'm also hosting right now with some really awesome rewards such as deposit bonuses. You can get basically a free $50. So make sure to go check that out as well. And with that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.